Welcome, welcome, witches. Happy to see everybody back on another Sunday. And it's so nice now that spring is finally here. It's not pitch black outside anymore. And we can enjoy some sunlight now as our evenings are approaching, right? And I want to just let everybody know I'm about to share the view where all you guys will be on stage too, or on the screen with me. So if you want to go ahead and come on camera, and also if you want to stay off camera, that's totally fine. And you will see yourself be added here with everybody else. Hello, hello, everyone. See. And okay. Make sure everybody's on here. All right. So today we're going to be talking about The Evil Eye by Antonio. I can never say his last name. Bagialarulo is my attempt, but I'll be calling him Antonio moving forward. So what to expect for today? Here is our agenda. There's just one slight tweak. Opening announcements and introductions are supposed to be switched, but other than that, we're going to be doing our opening announcements, our land acknowledgements. Then we'll have a chance for everybody to go around and introduce themselves. And then we'll get into our discussion of the book. And I have some questions prepared for us. And as you guys know, no need to stick to the questions that I have. Please feel free to bring in your own questions, your own insights that may not be included on that list. And then at the very end, we'll have our closing announcements. So before we move into our introductions, I wanted to take a moment and acknowledge the native spirits of the land here in Manhattan, the Lenape people. And if you guys were with us in February when we were reading Tarot for the Hard Work, I brought up for a minute that land acknowledgements can often feel performative when they're done just okay, like here's the people of the land and let's move on. So with the challenges that Tarot for the Hard Work was presenting to us, I have taken that as a challenge for myself as well to see how can I really create a space here to honor and acknowledge the native people of the land that is a little bit more than just, oh, here it is, let's keep going. So I brought another poem for you guys that I'm going to read from a Lenape native. And with that being said, the call to action that I want to give out to everybody is I really encourage you guys to explore if the areas that you're from has a center that is either doing work to protect or to educate people on indigenous traditions and bringing them back into the land. I know for New York, it is lenapecenter.com. And if you were to look up on that website, you can see the work that's being done by other indigenous individuals to make sure that the history that's being told is the right history and not a whitewashed version and one that's not true. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and read Plant Medicine by Rebecca Half Lowry, coming out of this book, Lenape Hoking, an anthology that you guys can find out more about visiting lenapecenter.com. And here we go. Plant medicine. Our people never lost plant medicine. Forests extended from New York to the edge of Oklahoma. We gathered along the way, in the right way, made an eastern hole and an offering, touched the plant as delicately as the patient. Lil Creek did just that to save my dad's life. 1940, Ketchum, Oklahoma, delivered by a veterinarian, born 40 years old, sick and starving, till the wild grape, till the elderberry, till the prayers of Lil Creek. Knowledge kept, knowledge shared, so the babies may live, so the children of the babies and their babies may live. And that concludes the poem, and that concludes our acknowledgement of native land spirits here in Manhattan. All right, So now moving into our space of introductions, we're going to go around the room. I'm just going to call on you based on the order I see you. Name, pronouns, what's your magical path, the native spirits of the land you're on, and how much progress you made with the book. So I'll go ahead and I'll go first. So hi, everybody. I'm Nori Alondra. I am the Coven moderator in the online community. So when you guys see a lot of posts with me, that's me in there. My pronouns are she, they. I am a self-dedicated Wiccan, along with being an eclectic practitioner, just kind of like a lot of us going around the traditions and learning and experimenting. Native land spirits here are the Lenape people, and I personally read the entire book. And let's move on to Takara. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Excuse my children in the background. They're playing Mario Kart. I'm Takara. My pronouns are she, her. My name is Spirit for Lenape, for Whippinger, and there's another one I can't remember. I'm in Manhattan too. I didn't read the book, so I decided to come along because they said you can come and just hear about it. So that's why I'm here. Hi everyone, and it's nice to see faces to names I see in the chats and other places.
Thank you for being here, Takara, and I'm glad you came, even if you didn't read the book. We encourage that. We welcome that. So thank you for being here. All right, June, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you can hear me. I'm June, pronouns he, they, local BronxWitch. Been part of the Coven for quite a few years now, New York resident my entire life. So I'm also repping Lenape on this side. Self-dedicated as well. I'm somebody that practices some of the more African infusions of the Caribbean side of magic and spirituality. So you have some Orisha practice, you have a little bit of Vodou, I'm a little bit of a melting pot, but by virtue of being Dominican, I'm a mix of 1,001 things. So my spiritual path is kind of putting those things, kind of like Takara said, right? Putting names to faces, spiritually speaking, and just figuring out what makes June blossom. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, right?
I love that, figuring out what makes June blossom. All right. And did you mention any book progress? I don't know if I heard that.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I've read this book like 3 times. I got it when he came to the shop to do the book signing. Actually, I got a signed copy of his there. So I've read it twice independently, and then when this was the book of the month, I was like, let me just go back real quick and give it a little peek. I'm in school, so like reading has become a pleasure because that's all I freaking do now. So I went through this book again in like 3 days. But yeah, I definitely went through the whole thing. It's a lot of fun.
I love that. No, you really have been in this book. I've definitely seen your updates in the Coven community as well. And it's just so cool seeing how everybody's interacting with it. Thanks, June. All right. Ash, hello, and how are you?
Hello to you as well. I'm doing good. So hi everyone, I'm Ash. My pronouns are she, her. Magical path, I'd say eclectic. I tend to lean more into like planetary magic and kind of use that to guide what I'm focusing on any given day. For native spirits, I'm originally from New York, but I'm currently living in like the Silver Spring, DC area. So our native spirits are the Piscataway and Nacotchtank. Hope I'm saying that right. People. And book progress, I kind of jumped around a bit just because I felt like it was a really easy read. And so I was just diving into wherever I felt was most interesting to me at the time. So I think I kind of skimmed chapter 2, but I focused more on like 1, 3, and 4. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, skipping around the book, totally valid. All right. Maribel, if you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Maribel. I'm also Dominican, June, so that's pretty cool to hear. I did not read this book. I was so prepared to purchase it, and then I had a big trip, left, came back, was super jet lagged, all over the place, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna show up just to hear because I really like the book club. I like the conversations. I am a tarot and astrology witch. I've been practicing since I was young. It's what I love. I'm in the Bronx, so this is Lenape land as well. And I am also Dominican, so I have, Taino connection as well from that point of view. But like June, we're all mixed. We're all very mixed. And yeah, so just happy to be here, happy to see some new faces and some familiar faces.
Thank you, Maribel. All right. And last but not least, Nisi.
Hey everybody, I'm Nisi, Shanice, if you want to be formal, but obviously no. My pronouns are she, her. My magical path, Christian folk witch. I try to take in Christianity and follow Christ as more of like the mystical path. Uh, Native spirits, this is the Muskogee people because I am in South Carolina. I am the only non-New York native here. I see. Book progress, I'm almost finished. I'm on page 208, so I'm on chapter 6. So I'm at the very end of the book.
Nice. All right. So we have now done introductions. Thank you everybody again for being here and giving us your time. And let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to why we're here. All right. So I hope everybody's able to read that pretty okay. I'm trying to be aware about font and things. All right. So here's our questions to get us started, get us giving us some ideas for discussion. And again, I want to just reiterate, please feel more than welcome to bring up stuff that's not on here. Like one thing off the bat that I didn't put on this list that I wanted to was asking a question around how do you guys go around curing the evil eye? How do you know when the evil eye is cured? Like, how do you know when, okay, now it's done? Like, how do we mark that? So with all that being said and done, let's start just right at question 1, and then we'll see what happens from there. We'll see where we end up. What were some things that we learned about the evil eye that we have not known before? And floor is open.
I bet. So since we're all rushing to the mic, I'm gonna go first. Uh, so for me, it was like, how do I say this? You can assume that the evil eye exists in multiple parts of the world, right? But I think that for me, it's nice to get it like really cemented. Like it's not just something that you and your family do. It's not something that that one auntie told you about when you was little. It's like, yo, you can travel the world and still find it. You know what I'm saying? For the good and the bad, right? For the bad that you got to go through it, but for the good is that we're aware of what it is and 9 times out of 10 how to diagnose and deal with it. So for me, it was just like in a weird way, cool to make it less mystical and more commonplace, if that makes sense, where it's not just like, because like growing up, for example, I cannot speak for y'all, but like when you're a little kid, for example, like when you're in middle school and high school and things are going left, you don't tell your group of friends like, yo, I think somebody got the eye on me or somebody, whatever. Maybe nowadays, sure. Right, like I'm almost 30. When I was in high school over a decade ago, maybe people looked at me a little left, right? So I think that for me now, it's like the normalization of it of like, yo, I could go to India, see it, go to France, see it, go to DR, definitely see it. So I think it was just like the making it commonplace and less of a, this is just you trying to have a magical experience kind of thing, you know, because I'm always trying to separate what's mundane and what's actually spiritual. So to see it as a cultural phenomenon was really good for my imposter syndrome, you know?
Yeah, no, like kind of piggybacking off of that, the section in his book where he just kind of started going through all the different ways the evil eye shows up just across religions, across borders, just everywhere, even across time, I thought was so interesting. And the fact that he couldn't even actually like it, we're still struggling to pinpoint where it began. And he mentioned, Antonio mentioned that to further understand the evil eye at this point, it's almost not irrelevant what happened in the past, but it's almost like, okay, who cares where it came from? It's here. It's a real thing that has been just across the borders, across time. The real question is, how do we deal with it? How do we handle it? And I found that to be really interesting. Just because its history is so, its history feels mystical still, I would say.
It's like this is part of the human experience, no matter how you look at it. So this is how you can deal with it if you choose to care, you know?
Yeah. And okay, so with that, how do you guys either currently protect yourself or ward from the evil eye. And I'm wondering if the book inspired you to try anything different in how you protect yourself. And I believe we could see the list that he offered. I think it was on page like 111, which I think is just appropriate. Let's see. And again, anybody can feel free to jump in.
I mean, I don't shut up. Listen, I don't come to these often, but I always have a lot to say. So just know. So what was the question? How do we diagnose, deal with it? What are we doing? Because I've been witching and bitching for a minute. So it's like, talk to me. Especially like in our culture, maybe Maribel can attest to this, but we're very eye centric. So it's like, listen, I've been trained in this for a while.
Mal de ojo is real.
Oh wait, actually, I'm curious. Because I was asking the question too, basically. And with you guys being Dominican, I'm wondering, yeah, anything you guys want to share that wasn't in the book with.
I have a question. Sorry, and I guess it's because I didn't read the book. What is the evil eye? Because like I see it in a lot of jewelry, like and I'm like, is it a thing? Because you were saying it's all over the world. I'm like, is it just someone just looking at you with that like mojo? So I'm like confused. So I'm like, is it an actual thing or is it just like this piece of jewelry? Zizi, be quiet. Is it this piece of jewelry that people wear to ward off something? Is it just like someone's being negative and directing it towards you? So I guess that's where I want to start because I'm like confused.
No, that's a great question. Does anybody else want to answer? Here, well, I'll give you this. So the way I conceptualize the difference between the evil eye and then what we usually see, like the evil eye talismans and the amulets, those, yeah, are two different things. The evil eye itself, my quick definition is a quiet curse, and that's kind of how he said it in his book, a quiet curse that we can inflict on others without all the extraness of like spell magic. Like it's quite direct. And the way I understand it, the evil eye really begins from envy, jealousy, resentment, and these kind of emotions. And from there, anybody has the power to inflict the evil eye on somebody through harboring this with a look of the eye. And then in the book, he kind of goes into more detail of other ways. Like he mentions you can also inflict somebody with the evil eye if you give them a compliment, but like internally, you're not feeling like you're not 100% giving that compliment out of sincerity. Like you're holding some jealousy, maybe like somebody got a promotion at work and you're like, oh, like congrats on that promotion. But in reality, you're, oh, like that should have been me. You might inflict the evil eye on somebody that way. So that's the evil eye part. And then the amulet part is how are we protecting ourselves? How are we warding away, which I would say is a different way of protection to say it. And that's when people are wearing amulets, doing hand signals. Even here's where you might see some more spell work occur to protect ourselves from the evil eye. And that's my quick little rundown. Did anybody else want to add anything to that?
The only thing I would piggyback to what you said, just being very specific. So you have evil eye as in the action, the energy, the phenomenon, right? The stuff going bad, the feeling sick, the basically like Nuri said, transferring that negativity onto the other person, whether it be through, staring them down, speaking ill of them, etc. But then you also have the actual white, blue, and black eye that you see all the time called the Nazar, is actually a symbol meant to not necessarily destroy it, but to capture the evil eye. People often see that the eye is like, oh, it's going to reflect it, it's going to take it away. No. It's going to watch it, and it's going to freeze in the sight of that talisman, so to speak, right? So if you're going to look at the evil eye like an energy, or for the sake of this conversation, a spirit even, right? That eye would make it so that the spirit would freeze in its tracks. It's like a little kid, like, oh shit, I got caught. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm moving, and then it's like, oop, I can't go nowhere, which is why you get the popping of the bracelet, the breaking of the amulet. They say like the eye took the hit for me, right? That's the Nazar, in a sense, catching that eye. But then evil eye, as far how it manifests, is like Nuri said. It could be, people been talking a lot of stuff, and then you have a lot of bad luck. You have a really close relative, a loved one, a family member, an in-law. Those are our favorites. And every time they come over, stuff just happens to go left at the crib. You know what I'm saying? Mother-in-law comes over. I burnt the food. I dropped the groceries coming in. I lost $20 in the street, and the wind blew it away. And it's only when she comes through, then you're gonna say something like, "It's her. I know she got the eye on me. She feels some type of way. She's projecting that energy." So all of that is kind of like the evil eye, and we see that everybody and their mama do it, right? Here, Italy, Japan, etc. So you might call it different things, and you might see different rituals or gestures done in response to it. Putting up the horns or saying certain phrases or whatever the case might be. But and other times people will tell you straight up, don't let them give you a compliment without saying God bless you afterwards. Otherwise, they got the eye on you. Don't let nobody give you a compliment and put their hands on you at the same time. They trying to put the eye on you. So all of that is the eye. It's like that. I'm not trying to be super general, but as POC, when they hating spiritually, like, you know what I'm saying? When they really taking it to you, I don't like you, and I hope you trip, and I hope your puppy chokes on his breakfast. Like, is that type of vibe. Sorry, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
The poor puppy.
Oh no.
But you're not wrong. June did not say one lie. Yeah, is that helpful to Kara?
Yes, it is. Like I said, I've always seen, like, I watch a lot of jewelry television. I have a problem, and they're always selling like an evil eye pendant or the one with the hand and then the eye in it. And I'm like, okay. And then there's a book, and I'm like, all right. And I have like a bracelet. I think it's mine or my daughter's. And I'm like, what is the purpose of this bracelet? And I see now, like as June was saying, to kind of like stop it in action. And basically, it's about people hating on us, which happens a lot. So I get it now. Thank you.
I'm glad that was helpful. So yeah, kind of like with that explanation giving, back to the question, bullet point 2 on the list here. How do you guys protect yourselves? How do you guys ward away? What are you currently doing? What did the book inspire you to try? And it was page 103 if you have it in front of you and wanted to see. I know for me already, kind of off the bat, there was one thing. It was warding for work, specifically when you have Zoom meetings. And half of my like working life is on Zoom. And that's one I'm gonna be trying soon, because I think it was
Same.
cutting a lemon and putting it behind your screen. Because yeah, right?
I wish I had this book when I was in office, but I'm getting ready to try that too. The only thing I've tried out of the book was the tarot ritual that I posted in the community, as far as like trying to see if you had the eye on you, and then I got the Temperance card out of that deck. So yeah. Where I'm from, I grew up Southern Baptist. So you always hear if looks can kill, or oh, she giving you the look, ain't it? It's very nice, nasty tease. I keep my pearls clutched, but I will cut you. It's that type energy when it's the eye. I know it very well. In the Southern Baptist Church, again, they giving you that look. They got the look on you.
Thanks for sharing, Nisi. I'm curious. Did anything else come out after doing the reading?
I didn't pull any further cards because it was late and Mama was tired. Um, so again, when I did that ritual and pulled that card, it was a very overwhelming sense of gratitude and gratefulness. Like I was damn near in tears. So yeah, I didn't pull any other cards, but I just remember that immense feeling of gratitude and gratefulness that came over me after that was said and done. Like so much so, I put the card on my altar, lit a candle, said prayers, all that.
Love. Thanks for sharing.
I gotta say, reading the book, I was getting kind of stressed. I haven't done anything to protect or even detect, purely from just like a research standpoint. But I was like, is that what that feeling was? Like, did that person put the eye on me? Like, I just kept going through all these like interactions and like a little bit of anxiety. But that's just me and my mental illness. But I think I had to reflect on like what my experience was with like the Eye of Nazar previously too, because I feel like I had been popping up a lot in pop culture. And I had even like got a piece of jewelry that had it on it from like a thrift store, but I didn't like the vibe. It just didn't feel right to me. I ended up burying it in the woods somewhere. one day because I was like, something about this one just feels off. So that's why I was really excited to see that this was the book for the month, because I was like, the way that I've been approaching this, and I kind of knew about the Eye of Nazar, and it's, you know, rooting in like Turkish culture, because I was thinking about going to Istanbul for a trip. So I was just like, this is pretty quintessential to Turkish culture. It'd be nice to like have some sense of what the history is behind it. So I had some familiarity with it there, but I didn't really feel that resonance. And then I am Caribbean, but I'm Jamaican. And I was thinking, I was like, I don't really feel like there's anything for me personally that I have that is like, you know, like a malocchio or like any of the other terms that were popping up in the book.
Mhm.
I just feel like people in Jamaica will just cut you if they if they really want to. That's just like a control. Just running around with machetes, but it's not even a joke. It's very real. So it was like it was interesting for me from just at least like a research standpoint, from like an understanding of like a folk magic standpoint, from an understanding of like this thread of belief that is definitely consistent across time and space for all peoples.
Yeah.
The book's so wonderfully described. But for myself and my own like personal experience with it, I've definitely felt it from people, right? That envy, that jealousy, that nice nasty. Like
Mhm.
I'm just like deeply sensitive to individuals, and you know, you can't call them out on it sometimes because, like the book says, sometimes folks don't even know when they're doing it to you. And then too, like sometimes people don't want to like, you know, buck up. They're not going to really say it with their chest. So they're doing it and they don't want you to know, even if you're picking up on it. So at this point, I'm at a place where I'm like, I definitely want to try some of the, you know, the protect and detect suggestions that are in the book, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. But it definitely opened it up to me in a way that it just didn't really connect with me for all the time that I've seen it and engaged with it in the past.
Yeah. I'm glad that it's opening you up to like think about the evil eye in just a different way and how protection might look like for you moving forward. And you kind of made me think of a question now. Do you guys perceive a difference between protection magic and protection from the evil eye? Is there a difference? Is there not a difference?
What do you mean? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking the question, but like, can you be more specific? Um,
And I don't want to be too specific because I'm thinking like your regular degular protection rituals, protection magic, whether it's like, oh, protecting my home, protecting my doorway, protecting my energy. Is that different from protecting yourself from the evil eye? Is what I'm wondering. Or are they two different things?
I'm going to say yes and no, because on one side, I will say yes. Like, okay, for me, it's a matter of like, if you take it based on the book and like even your own life experience, evil eye comes in like stages and like magnitudes, right? You have like the really superficial, like somebody that you don't really see often. You're not really friends that day. You bought new shoes, you see them, nice shoes with a little, and then they keep it pushing, right? In that moment, depending on the practitioner, right? That could be anything from I spit in your direction, I make a hand sign, I say a quick prayer, good, okay, clocked it, paid it, goodbye, right? Done and done. Then it could also be something like somebody that you see frequently that's hating on the low actively. They know that they're envious or upset or whatever, but they're giving you the facade regularly. By the time you come to notice, it might have already accumulated into something a little greater than just the person that was hating on the shoes, right? And so that's where it gets a little tricky for me, because it stops being a protection and starts to be more of a cleansing. Because in my opinion, by the time you've noticed it, it's already taking effect. It's already taken root. Not to give it power, you're not lost to the curse, but it's there. It's happening. It's existing in your life. For me, if something can manifest a sign in my life, it has taken up space in my life, right? So at that point, it's not so much about protecting as in being like blocking something or being preventive. Now it's more like a cleanse. Now it's more like a, depending on how bad it is, am I purifying? Am I banishing an energy? Am I, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's a magnitude thing. And then the other part of it, it's also just like, is it one person or is it multiple people? It's not to, to toot our own horns and say that we're the end all be all. But listen, for example, I'm in class, right? And thank God I've been doing very well. I don't like
Oh,
talking about my grades
it looks
anymore.
there.
Wait, say that again?
Came back.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You froze
But
for a
like I'm in.
second. You just
Oh, hi. Good. So yeah, like for example, I was gonna say, like
yes.
I'm in school, and thank God I'm doing really well. I don't like talking about my grades because everybody had a really hard time on that test, and you got a 98, and it's just like, oh, what did you get? Secretly hoping to also get a low answer so that they can feel better, so that they could feel that sense of community, and then they're hearing something very different, and it's like, oh, well, then there's that instant energetic reaction of like othering you, of resenting you, of pushing back to you, and then that feels much heavier than again that one person example. So for me it's like there's so much nuance to it that I guess like most magic it is case by case. But even if we're going to talk about evil eye as a phenomenon, I still have to say depending on what level we're at, right? Because I'm not going to pull out the Psalms, the Bible verses, the black salt, the this, that, and whatever, because you complimented my shoes with an attitude. Now, if I've been feeling crazy, I went to the doctor, they can't tell me why I'm so damn nauseous, I haven't changed my diet, I'm sleeping fine, I'm doing all the right things, maybe I got to look at myself, maybe I got to look at the people around me, maybe there's some inconsistencies. Yo, I haven't lit a candle on my altar for mad long. When was the last time I had a moment of connection? When was the last time? And then little, for me personally, it looks like separation of spirit, and it looks like filth. So I know that somebody's working the eye on me. My house could be spotless, and in the span of, and I'll just see 10 flies. Or it'll be like I've lived in New York City my entire life, right? People peeing on the street, super regular thing. It doesn't happen to me often. I'm suspecting I have the eye on me. In the span of a week, I kid you not, a random stranger will stand next to me, whip it out, and pee, and I hate it. That for me is a filthy thing. So spirit is telling me there is filth in your life. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, but and now by the time it gets to that point with me, I got to do some work. It's not. This is not a matter of sign of the cross, Hail Mary. No, 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 no. We got to deal with this. So I guess to answer your question, it is very sensitive on what I perceive to be the intensity that we're at. What level of evil eye are we at? Because it stops being protection, now it starts being deal with it.
Yeah. No, I love that you made that distinction. And I bring up the question because, right, witchcraft has so much space to like be different, right? And how each practitioner actually approaches their work. And I love that you brought up the cleansing element. Like, yes, here's the evil eye, and here's how we're warding from here. And there's a time for cleansing if it is already here. Like protection's kind of like that's already passed and gone. Let's move on. Love that. Any other? Yeah, Maribel.
I love that you said, June, that it's also nuanced because I think, you mentioned that you don't share your grades, but I'm sure that it also is your own intuition telling you where you can share this information and where you can't, or who you can share this information with and who you can share this information with. Because if it was like, maybe if you had a different vibe, maybe you would say, I got a 98. And it would be like, hell yeah, like, yeah, you got that 98, you earned it, you got it. And I've realized that because even though I've worked with my tarot and my astrology, and I've always had um, medium type, not the word is not trades, also me a mediumship. Why am I losing this
Experience.
experience? I've always been very in tune to spirits and things like that. And it's been since I was a child. I can imagine the same for you. Um, I was very naive to how real it is. That a lot of bad things happened to me growing up with people, even up until like early adulthood, where I had no idea that it was because of that. And people would be like, "Oh, people look at you a lot," and I'd be like, "Me? What? I don't have anything." I don't try to do anything, blah blah blah. I don't and then I would notice that people would stop talking to me, or would like different things would happen to me. And now is that I realize that how much I do have to protect myself, how much I do have to be aware of the like the evil eye, and to bring the name of the book and the focus of our conversation into the conversation to make it relevant, because it's real. My previous job was the first time I actually did something to protect myself, because there was a coworker that she totally like had full projection on me of some person that I was not who she was perceiving me to be at all. She was being nasty, like nice, nasty is how the book is. And it was creating so much distress in me. And it was a witch, a fellow witch, who said, girl, put that girl's name in vinegar, put it in the back of your freezer, give it 2 weeks. I swear to you all, this girl never spoke to me again at work. Never spoke to me again, never asked me for a favor, never. I still to this day, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I feel so freed from her energy. Like, it's not, and I literally, when I prepared the spell, I said, may she never, like, may my name never even cross her mind. And may she never even think about me and just forget about me. And 100% exactly that. And I felt like that was an evil eye protection. I didn't know if it was a traditional evil eye protection, but to me it was a proof that this stuff happens. I was like literally crying all the time. I was in a lot of distress because of this experience.
I would say you didn't fight the eye. I would say you got the source of where the eye was coming from. That's what I would say.
That's a good point of view.
Yeah, because
And
you could have just worked the energy. Sorry, just real quick. You could have worked the energy. You could have protected yourself. You could have cleansed it away. But instead, you're like, I know where this is coming from, and I'm going to get it at the source. So I think that was like, in my opinion, that was like the quickest. Like, I'm going to just cut straight to it. Like, this, we're going to nip this in the bud real quick and done. So I love that. So I think that maybe not traditional, a freezer spell for the evil eye, but a freezer spell for the one that's responsible for it, 100%.
Thank my friend. She had the intuition. She was just like, girl, give it 2 weeks. I was counting down those 2 weeks. I was like, it's going to happen.
I wanted to just read Takara's comment in the chat. So true, Maribel. I have that issue too when people move away from me based on something and I get confused. Then I find out they had some mistaken opinions about me. And Takara, I wanted to see if you wanted to share a little bit more with everybody, just out loud.
Sorry. Yeah, so I mean, I've had it happen all my life, and just like a little backtrack, it was funny because I had like a conversation with Ali about this the other day, and she was like, people could be wishing, stuff on you, and I was like, why would they do that? She's like, they could be envious of what you are, and I just, it never occurred to me, now it's like all coming together. So I had a lot of in high school, like June was saying, like I'm a nerd. So I would get good grades, and at the time I didn't have a problem telling people I got good grades. I wasn't bragging, but they knew I was a nerd, and so I just be like, oh yeah, I did whatever, and they'd be like, oh yeah, like great. And then it came to a point where like this girl who was actually just as smart as I am, she stole my homework. The bitch stole my homework. And they used to copy because I never let them copy my homework. I was that one. Like, you couldn't copy my homework. And I didn't find out. So my physics teacher was like, Takara, you didn't hand in your homework. And I'm like, what you talking about? I always hand in my homework. How does she come out of her notebook and give him my homework? Oh, here you go. I was like, excuse me? I was like, what? I was so livid with her. I was like, I cannot believe that you stole my homework. And then you didn't even hand it in after you stole it. So like I've had situations like that, and I was younger, and I think even as I've gotten older, like in workplaces, and even like with a coworker that I had, like coworkers that I still deal with, and I kind of stay away from them a little bit because like I feel weird with my connections with them. Like I give more to them than they give to me, and then they don't really. It's not even, And so like I'll push back, and then they'll say stuff that's not exactly true, like, oh yeah, well you don't like that, or you like this. I'm like, I never said that, oh well, but you're this, and I'm like, no, I didn't know that, and you should know me better than to think that. Like I wouldn't think that of you. So I've had that happen, but I think I'm gonna try the vinegar idea. I know in Jevali she said something about some cow's tongue and cutting it and all this stuff, but I don't know if I'm that good yet. But I'm gonna try some of these other things aside from just like kind of walking out their lives.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And with that, let's kind of move towards how do we know we have the evil eye on us? I know, June, you shared a little bit about how that looks like for you. And yeah, so like, how do you guys know moving forward, or what are we going to be looking for after reading this book on knowing if we have the eye on us or diagnosing it for us? And I see Nisi. Yeah, you're about to go.
Yes. For me, it's probably more so a string of negative occurrences happening within like a short period of time within each other. Because one thing to have a bad day, it's one thing to have a bad couple of days, but if things keep happening piled on top of each other, like if something goes wrong with my kids, something goes wrong with my car, something goes wrong with my home, I fall down or stub the toe or something. Like it's like a snowball effect. Is how I'll be able to see or diagnose an evil eye, at least for myself. Uh, so yeah.
Yeah. And follow-up question for you, Nisi. Do you have a time frame in how fast things have to happen, or is it just kind of like open to your discernment?
For now, it's gonna more so be open to my discernment, but I will say like within a week. Within a week.
Thanks for sharing, Nisi.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Maribel.
I don't really have a way to diagnose that. I think the times where I've realized it, the few times where I've been aware like of something, I get a fearful sense. I just get fearful. I have like this frightening sense around a person's reaction, or a sudden fearful sense um around like an experience. That's the only thing closest. I don't know in the book if he gets more of, if they, I'm not sure what their pronouns are too, if they get more involved in the explanation of it, but from like my experience, it's always been like a sensation in my body, like, and it's always like feeling some type of fear of like, this person is not safe, or like this isn't safe, something like lack of safety.
So I know in the book, on page 111, he talks about the difference between a sign and a symptom. And what I just described were probably more so symptoms of the evil eye, like things physically happening. So objective things that you can measure. So what I talked about was symptoms. Like I believe what you are speaking about are more so like signs. Like I'm a little naive as well. I am definitely the everything's great, everybody's great, yeah. So everything is not great. So that's why symptoms or diagnosing it symptomatically would probably be like more so helpful for me, because I typically go into situations wanting to see the best, especially in people and especially family. And that's a tough one to deal with when you know it's coming from, when the call is coming from inside the house.
Uh,
Don't get me started.
I really like the oil and water method, mainly because it's very simple. I think a lot of the tools that were given were very like accessible, right? Like the lime and the water behind the laptop at work. I was like, I could do that. Maybe I won't refresh it every couple of days like you suggested, but it's at least easy to get it started, right? So that's something that I definitely want to try. I feel like I am very similar to Takara, where if there are people and I get a weird vibe, I'm gone. That's it. I blink once, you will not see me again. Like I just don't have the space or the energy, because I think I
Need to be
feel
like y'all.
yeah, no, truly, like I feel the malice. Like I was also a nerd, and it got to a point where I would just lie about my grades. I'd be like, "What you get? A C? Pfft, me too. Don't even worry about it." Right? Granted, it's an 89, maybe a 98, depending on the class. You know what I mean? So but like you can tell, like people, I think people move with a lot of envy, they move with a lot of jealousy, and they move with a lot of selfishness. I probably opposite from Nisi in that I actually don't see the best in people. I think that folks, whether they're aware of it or not, are really insecure, and they do a lot of projection. And me just living my life, just a happy go lucky, sometimes a little woo woo kid, would trigger a lot of people, whether I knew it or not. Even just saying my own truth would like really affect people. So I'm excited to use this book so I can engage more with the world, but also have ways that I can protect myself from things and detect the things that I know that I've been feeling for like my entire life.
Thank you for that share, Ash. And speaking on that, now let's kind of move into how do we cure the evil eye? Again, June, you like have been doing an amazing job of covering things for us, and you were talking about cleansing and how that really becomes an element in removing the evil eye, and I'm assuming also in curing it. So if you have a different answer, please share. But yeah, how do we go about curing the evil eye? What does that look like for us? What are we wanting to try from the book?
For me, and I'll give you a combination of an answer because it's never black and white, right?
Nope.
First, it's that right. First, it's that it depends on what your practice looks like. Um, Again, just for the background, not just of what I practice, but I've been practicing for about 15 years now. I'm gonna be 29. I've been doing this thing since I was 14, you know, hiding in the middle of the night, lighting candles, hoping I'm like praying loud enough so where I'm not mumbling, but like low enough so where I don't get banging on my door, you know? So for me, it's like everybody's practice looks different. And what do I mean by that? I personally don't connect to rituals, spells, practices, etc., that have to do with working things off of myself directly. I'm somebody that works with a lot of like fetishes or poppets or like I like to call stand-ins, right? So something that I like to do or that you'll typically see in my practice when it comes to removal of a curse, a hex, evil eye, etc., I'm usually creating something to stand in for me, and then I'm working whatever the stand in is. So that could be anything from super simple, get a white chime, rub it over your body, you know, with that intention, preferably naked if you know you have the privacy to do so. Quick prayer, light that bitch and go. Or it could be like I'm getting a figure candle, I'm breathing life into it. I have a certain, you know, process that I like to do when I like to give of my spirit to something to hold, you know. And then from there, I'll work it as if I was working myself. I will take a figure candle and I will baptize it. I will take a figure candle and I will pray over it. I will speak to it. I won't even light it sometimes, believe it or not. I'm just using it for the fact that it's a figure, if that makes sense. But I find that the eye as an energy and as a phenomenon is effective but not that intelligent, if that makes sense. It's very similar to how when we deal with, you know, very basic spirits, they don't know the difference half the time, you know. And I'm not saying blood sacrifice, put your name in the book of the beast. I mean, like, take a little bit of spit and some hair, you know, put it on that candle with your name on it, and really be like, all right, do your worst. Let's see what you can do. Or let's see, or you know, as a method of diagnosis, right? You can do that, connect it to yourself, and just see how that candle burns. You're somebody that reads wax. You're somebody that deals with wax and water, whatever your divination looks like. Or if it's gonna be the I'm gonna remove something, that's when I put out the big guns. You're not going to see me making a bath and, you know, doing all these crazy things, but you will see me in there witching and bitching, making a big ass mess, fucking up this little candle. You feel me? And lo and behold, a week will pass. The bad luck is gone. I start getting gifts. I start finding things. It's not even a matter of the evil eye is gone. Shit just reverses. But I constructed my work in a way where it's when you remove something, you're creating space, but also dictate what is going to refill that space. There is no void in my life, right? I'm not made of holes, but to continue to be whole, I need to be very specific about that. So for me, it's like create the fetish, work the fetish, bless it, baptize it, exercise it, whatever extreme it is that I'm feeling and how spirit guides me to do so. And then, you know, discard it. You know, sometimes I will burn the candle. Other times you got to find the park and bury it. Other times I'll make something out of paper so that I can flush it. Get creative. You know, I'm also a city witch, right? I don't have the great outdoors. I'm connected to nature when I go to Central Park. Like, you know, we're very disconnected sometimes. And so just get versatile. But for me, long story short, I like to create something to take my place of the focus for this curse to either diagnose what's going on or to stand in for me to then remove it, right? So I can, in a sense, work on myself without working on myself. So, yeah.
Thank you for that, June. This is why I love book club, and this is why I love the community, because I love it when we get just come together and share what we're doing and be able to impart some wisdom and knowledge amongst each other and just making each other better witches. Thanks, June. Anybody else want to share? Yeah, Maribel.
I just wanted to say, June, that was really beautiful the way you said it. And it taught me a lot of things in like the span of like, I don't know how long how long, but I was just like, I could do that. I can do that. I can do that too. Oh my God. Okay. So, because again, I don't, when I get personal readings, people remind me, you are an emotional intuitive. You absorb a lot. You have to constantly rebalance. You have to constantly cleanse or like um uh kind of like center ground again. And I've been hearing this since I was 15 because I started working as well when I was 15. And I've never, like, I listen, but then I don't, because you get caught up in the world. And it took me a really long time to take my practice like very seriously. But now that I'm very involved, it's like the real consequences and effects start to show. You're just like, oh shit, if I don't do this, this happens. Oh shit, if I keep ignoring and thinking that this person is actually great when they're not, this happens. So hearing all these things, I'm like, oh my God, I am gonna do it. I'm gonna do my daily things and really try to get into the habit of it. And I like what you said about that you're a city witch, because one of the card pulls I've been getting is like, get back into nature, get back into nature. And I'm like, get nature, and what nature are you talking about? There's no nature here. So I love that you said that, because I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out and just be in the little local park. It doesn't matter if there's a tree, if there's some grass, I'll take it. But it definitely made me feel more open, for sure. So
I would
I
recommend, as a
appreciate
city
it.
witch, try to focus on redefining what you call intimacy in nature. And what do I mean by that? I used to,
Mm,
and I say that as a joke, but I don't feel disconnected, more disconnected than you, who might live in the mountains surrounded by acres of private land.
I love
Because
hearing
here's the
that.
thing, we're still under the same sky. We can whisper to the same breeze. We feel the same
Mm.
drops fall from the sky. There is no difference between you and I, other than what I tell myself. I can lie and say there's nothing but metal and concrete. I am an animal. I'm not an animal. I am a machine, and nature is over there and I'm over here. Or I can step the fuck outside and, like you said, find the park, have the moment. Listen, there are moments where I'm just like, all right, spirit, do your thing. What are we doing? And I'm just like, all right, follow it and go. No, seriously. And then it's just like, oh, I don't have nature in the Bronx, but then it's just like, I'll go for a walk, and on that same walk, I'll see 10 different flower stands, and all of them have orange flowers, which for me is spiritually significant. What flower garden am I going to? No. But the fact that I saw the 10 different, Latinx ladies selling their flowers, and they all had the same one, they must be in season on the day that I decided, the spirit said, go left. When I, you know what I'm saying? Go do it. Be connected to it. Be a part of it. Be that weirdo too. Collect the pine cone. The rock looks cool. Take the rock.
I always look
That
weird
tree,
touching trees.
that
I'm like,
tree,
oh,
that tree, that tree looks like a limit. Listen, trees are liminal spaces for those of us that believe in those. Right,
yeah.
right where the roots go to the ground and the trunk meets the open air, right there, that point right there, that's a portal for anything. You know what I'm saying? Really remember that you're a witch in nature, not just that you're a witch seeking nature, because it doesn't make any sense. We don't live an artificial life. We make it artificial, but our life isn't. So for me, I would just say, I'm glad that you feel seen and validated, but don't take that as a just as a as like a confirmation to just be okay with it. Like, don't
No,
be okay with it.
absolutely.
It's yours.
Definitely.
It's always yours. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
So just don't let that go.
I hear that. And thank you so much. Lots of love. Thank you.
I love, love, love the information sharing going on. All right. Um, I kind of want to bring it to this one question at the very bottom of the discussion post, because I think this is something interesting. And I believe the last chapter in here is, yeah, chapter 6. How do we cast the evil eye? And I think there's some interesting points here. Do we as witches, do we have a responsibility of any kind to, one, be aware of how we're casting out the evil eye, both unintentionally or intentionally, because we got to do things too as needed? What do you guys think?
I think so. I think that part, especially the unconscious part, I think part of being a human being and being a witch is becoming conscious of how all of that moves through us, and how and relating to our experience. There was a woman that I watched a YouTube video of. This was years ago. This was very early in my practice, and she was talking about how our growth and evolution is the work, which is similar kind of to what June said about the nature, um,
Mhm.
and that we are the work. So if we might look at a reading that we do separate from us, but that is also part of us. That reading that we did with that person that was crying over an ex, we might be lucky in love, feeling super abundant, connected to someone, but we could still connect to to that suffering or that unkindness or that challenge that person is having, because we are human, we reflect one another, we're connected. So I feel like hearing like that question, I'm like, absolutely. I feel responsible as well for myself in knowing when that type of energy is coming through me or moving through me, and being curious about it and looking at it and be like, hey, what is this about? Why are you coming up? Why are you here? um and casting it out and moving it out, like, hey, thank you for the information. There's a card from one of my decks, I'll find it and
Mhm.
post it in the chat, that says, when these shadow feelings come up, it's usually telling us about something that we want to have that we want to have present in our own lives. So is it, if you're getting envious of people who are um like, for example, more successful in an area of life than you, like they have more money, then it's really an indication that you want to be more abundant in life, that you want to have more for yourself, and realizing how to change that energy to that, and learning like, oh, this actually means that I want more for myself. Or you saying, I'm too shy to talk, and then getting envious because somebody is more confident when they're speaking, and thinking, oh wait, I want people to hear me too, that's what it is. I want to be heard. Or things like that. People who express their emotions easily, and you're like, oh, here goes this person again saying that they felt so sad about something or something moving, and it's probably you wanting to be able to have that ease because it's hard for you to express yourself. So I think that is part of the work of the responsibility of the witch, to see that within themselves in order to be able to practice with more in a more meaningful way, and to be more present for their own work and actually grow, because then we're stuck, and we can't similar to what June says, we can't make space to fill in like what needs to come in, and we can't clear it out essentially.
No, that was just beautifully said, Maribel. You really hit the point, right? We as witches, we're constantly working to know ourselves. We're constantly working to address those shadowy parts of ourselves and bringing them to the light and actually addressing them and seeing, okay, what is this actually telling me? Yeah. Thanks, Maribel. Any other thoughts from anybody?
I want to piggyback off of what Maribel said, because when I was looking over the question, the visceral feeling that came up was like, oh, but I would be protecting my kid, or oh, like that little sneaky ego piece that will try to validate why you would be doing something that's a little fucked up. To say my son is on the spectrum, so I'm very viscerally protective of my kid, especially when it comes to school environments, being around other children, this, that, and the third. Because when people get together, things can happen.
Yep.
So yes, I do feel like it's my responsibility as a witch, as a practitioner, to manage how you cast out the evil eye, because what I do affects other people. God knows what other people are going through. And like, again, this is me wanting to see the best in people. So yes, I do feel like it's my responsibility to manage, but it is also my responsibility to defend myself. So knowing how to cast is also part of that responsibility too, because I have someone I need to live for. I have someone I need to physically be on this earth for. So if you fucking up my health, you fucking up with my kids' health. So now Mama Bear got to come see about you. Thank you for coming to my mini TED Talk.
Thank you for sharing it. No, and that's why with the way I worded this question, I wanted to be really careful to not make it seem like we as witches like shouldn't be casting out the evil eye, because that is not the camp I am on. I'm not a love and light witch. And yeah, I really wanted to have that conversation around what you guys think. Our responsibility is to managing how we cast the evil eye, if we're doing it unintentionally, or are we at a place with knowing ourselves that we should be able to only do it intentionally? Or is that statement that I just made even valid? Is that even true? And that's the fun, right, of witchcraft and continuing down this path, is that there's so many questions, there's so many different ways to look at the same thing. Before we move to ending this conversation, I wanted to just give a little space here at the end for any comments or any thoughts that didn't have a space anywhere else throughout this discussion today.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for popping
Hello.
in late and stuff. I just got back from closing up the shop, and I didn't want to miss some of this chat because I did also find this book really incredible, and it's become my like go-to guide on all things Evil Eye. But I just wanted to just kind of share a thought inspired by Nuri's last question about casting this type of work. I think Nuri and I have been talking about potentially putting a book called Jambalaya on the book list for the second half of the year. If you don't know it, it's considered a hoodoo classic. Yep. Nuri's got a copy of the old cover. So like mine, got an old one. They've updated the cover since, but it's written by Yeye Louisa Tish. She is an Oshun priestess in like her 70s. So she's one of our elders, and she's got a lot of great wisdom. And towards the end of the book, she talks a little bit about what she calls the hex mistress, and encourages all of us to beware of becoming the hex mistress, which is somebody who starts throwing around hexes and curses so frequently and so easily that they start to see hexes and curses everywhere. And it kind of almost becomes a snowball effect where, because they're throwing out that kind of work on a regular basis, they assume everybody else is doing the same, and every bad thing that happens to them, they assume is a result of a hex or a curse. And so now they're throwing out even more, and it can take people over. And I think we all have probably seen practitioners like this, and this is not to judge them, but sometimes I think I'm looking at a hex mistress on YouTube or Instagram where somebody's whole practice seems to be completely wrapped up in hexing and cursing people, and I've been hexed and you've been hexed and hexes are everywhere, and just seeing negativity in everything. And I don't know if that's happened to them, but I always wonder, like, are you really being hexed that much, or is it kind of taking over the way you look at the world? But she provides a very useful like guide, or like a test, I guess, for deciding whether or not it's time to hex or curse somebody. And basically she just says you need to ask yourself whether or not you would feel okay with that punishment being put on you for what you did. So if somebody, like Tanisi's example, hurt your child, you might be like, you know what, if I hurt somebody's child, I would absolutely deserve to get the shit hexed out of me, and so therefore I'm justified. But sometimes we get upset with people and we want to throw something out because we've learned how. But if you stopped and asked yourself, would I actually be okay with suffering that punishment for what was done, you might realize, that actually might be a little too much for what they did to me. And yes, I'm mad, and yes, what they did was fucked up or it was unfair, but what I'm about to throw to them isn't equal and just to what they've done to me. So I thought that was like a good test to apply. And then personally in my life, I have sat with this question a lot because I am Wiccan, and Wiccans tend to be, light and love, don't hex anybody, blah, 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 blah. And, sometimes we get a lot of times we get accused of being like too positive and blah, blah, blah. But one of the things that I kind of decided for myself was, if I'm a witch, which I believe I am, and I am capable of creating the world that I want, why would I create a world full of curses and hexes? I want a positive world. I want a world where people don't have a need to do that to each other. No, we might not be there yet, but how does me throwing more curses and hexes into the world help us to get there? It doesn't. So it's like planting apple trees when you really want oranges. If I want a world full of positivity, full of love, full of light, then how does me throwing out something else get me closer to a world full of love and light? It kind of doesn't. So those two parameters are kind of what I use to decide if I'm going to do something that would fall into the category of like a curse or a hex. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you for letting me have some time, Nuri. Appreciate it.
No, absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned what you did, because it really just touches on that whole other side of the coin, right? Like, if we're not just the love and light side, what if we're all the hex would you say hex priestess type? No, that's very valid. And we need to
Mistress.
look at the other side. Mistress.
Yeah.
All right. And I think that's a great place to wrap the conversation up. I feel like Ali just really did that for us. And I want to remind everybody that the book club replays are available on YouTube. So definitely check it out if you want to get the information that June so graciously gave us, and be able to take down notes on it that way, because it will be available. So we can always access it. All right. Thank you guys so much for a great discussion today, and being here. So wrapping up, closing announcements. Here is April's book, and I'm going to take you guys. Actually, no, we're all going to stay on the screen. It's fine. April's book club, a quick little snippet of what it's about. From a politically charged origins of the word witch, to present day magical resistance, this bold handbook explores the role of witchcraft in our modern world. Written by author, activist, and practicing witch Sarah Lyons. She takes us on a journey through the leftist history of magic, from the witch hunts to witch hunts in early modern England, through the Salem witch trials, and up to our present day. And pairing mystical acts, including sigil magic, soul flight, with core organizing tactics like power mapping and protest, revolutionary witchcraft offers a blueprint for building a politically grounded magical praxis. And that's a little snippet in what we'll be reading next week, or not next week, next month. And I feel like this book just goes really well with this almost like unintentional theme we've created in book club, I feel like, where we started January 1st, like finding that empowerment within. And then February, we're learning about, okay, how can we actually be empowering to the world around us? How can we show up differently to create that world without racism, that world without oppression that feels so impossible to visualize at times? And then we took a little pause in March, and now we're learning, okay, about the evil eye. Where is it? How can we see it? How can we protect ourselves? How can we cast it? And now we're going to go into some revolutionary witchcraft. And I don't know, I have a feeling we might do some combining of things we've learned in the other 3 books here. We'll see. So that's a little quick snippet in what we'll be reading next month, to really get you guys excited to read it. If you haven't decided yet if you want to join us in April, this is me being like, yes, please join us in April. Check out this book. This book is a shorter read than this month, so it should be quicker or easier to get through than the months previous. But yeah, that's the book. Check it out. Get it in the shop or get it online. And I hope to see all of you guys' faces here next April. And before we wrap up,
interrupt again. Just because you were talking about the book, in case any of you are looking for Revolutionary Witchcraft, we do have copies in the shop, but also the book bundle, now that we're halfway through, is on sale. It's 25% off, so it's marked down now to $79. You don't need a code. It's the sale price is already in on the website, and the sale started yesterday. So if you want to get all 6 books, January through June, for like the lowest price ever, you can, and you can still use your Coven discount code on top of that as well. So that's a great way to get all of the books in one go. And okay, for real this time, I'm done.
Thank you, Ali. Yay, we got another discount and we can get the books even cheaper. Love that. And last announcements. So tonight at 10 p.m., Ali's actually going to be having a high tea live because we have the full moon tomorrow. And the topic being which elements is your strongest. I will definitely be there at 10 in the chat. So I hope to see you guys there. Other things we have coming up, March 29th at 8:30. Alexis is having a 5 steps to mastering pendulum magic class live occurring, and you can find more details again in the online community. Our next book club will be April 28th. And currently, Ali, actually, because you're here, I'm wondering if you'd be able to speak to the Hecate class and how long access is going to be available, or if we're, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, shout out to Melissa Madara. The class was incredible. It actually ended up running 3 hours long because it's so much material. If you consider yourself to be a scholarly witch, this is definitely the class for you. Melissa went deep into the history, the mythos, a lot of information about Hecate's history, which was really great. It is currently available to enroll in the class. So the beauty of being in the Coven community is you get to tune into the live stream for free, but there's no replay or access to the downloadable materials. So if watching the replay or getting the downloadable materials is something you're interested in, then you're going to want to go ahead and enroll in the class in the portal. And you can use your discount code for that as well. And currently, I can tell you that the class will be available through the end of the month. Whenever we have a guest instructor, they get to decide how long the class remains available. So Melissa will basically be letting us know when she's ready for it to no longer be a part of our offerings. She does have a project coming up for the summer where she's going to be teaching some classes as a part of like a bigger colloquium. So I imagine she's going to want to discontinue offering her class here so that she can offer it somewhere else. So I would definitely take advantage of it and try to enroll before the end of the month. Once you enroll in any of the classes in the portal, they're yours forever. So you'll always have access to it. You can always go back no matter whether she pulls it off the portal or not. You will have access to yours. It just won't be available to the public. So even if you feel like you don't have time for a 3-hour deep dive into Hecate, I would consider enrolling to just have it in your dashboard, and then you could take it anytime in the future. So
Thank you, Allie. All right,
Thank you.
that is all of our announcements. And thank you guys for an amazing book club. And I will see you guys again in April. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the live. All right. Blessed be, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, everyone. This was so great. Good night.
It was nice meeting
Good
everybody.
night.
Hey,
Yes, nice
yes.
meeting you. Yes.
Love it.